भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you for today's Gita Pravaha session. In the last 1 week, 7 days, we discussed Gita Mahatmya and the first 3 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. We saw Sankhya Yoga, we saw Karma Yoga. Before that, we saw Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Today, we will see Jnana Yoga. Yoga means linking our consciousness with the Supreme Lord. Jnana Yoga means trying to connect with the Lord through Jnana, through knowledge. Now Krishna talks about that knowledge, divine knowledge, spiritual knowledge, or transcendental knowledge in the 4th chapter. In this chapter, initially Krishna talks about the Parampara of knowledge. What is Parampara? Parampara means the chain of teachers and students. One teacher gives transcendental knowledge to a student, and later the student becomes a teacher and he passes that jnana to the next generation. So like that, this divine spiritual knowledge, jnana, descends through a chain of teachers and students, and that chain is called parampara, Guru Sishya Parampara. Krishna talks about it in the first section. Later, Krishna gives knowledge about his own appearance, his own activities. That's the second part. Third part, Krishna also gives knowledge about how Krishna deals with different people. And finally, Krishna talks about how to attain that knowledge, how to attain jnana, divya jnana. First, parampara. Krishna says in the very first shloka, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. Krishna says that Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam. So this Jnana Yoga, this transcendental knowledge, I have first offered it to Vivasvan, the sun god. Vivasvan Manave Praha. So after I spoke this to Vivasvan, he spoke to Manu, and later Manu spoke to Ikshvaku. So this is how this divine knowledge descended in Parampara. From Krishna, it came to sun god, then to Manu, then Ikshvaku, and many other kings. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakaleneha mahata yogo nashtaha parantapa. So many rajarshis. What is rajarshi? Raja means king. Rishi means sage. Rajarshi means a sage amongst the kings. Although he plays the duty of a king, he plays the role of a king, he administers justice, but still, because of his divine knowledge, he is as good as a king, as good as a sage. Such people are called Rajarshis. So that's how this supreme knowledge, transcendental knowledge, descended through a chain of Rajarshis. Right? Not only Rishis, Rajarshis. Sakalene mahata yogo nashtah parantava. But that knowledge has been lost by the passage of time. Sakalene mahata. Whenever the knowledge appears to be lost, Krishna will descend on this planet and again gives that knowledge, so that the humanity could be benefited by that knowledge. Now, when like you see a chain, there are so many rings in the chain, so the rings are nicely connected. If one ring is very weak, the chain breaks. You tie this chain to some big luggage and try to pull it, because one ring is not very strong, the entire chain may break. Similarly, when we are connected to the Guru Sishya Parampara, the parampara of Vaishnava acharyas, we should represent those Vaishnavas nicely, right? By our mood, our behavior, our dissemination of knowledge, the way we repeat their message must be very authentic. Then we are representing them. But if you concoct something, if you imagine something, if you speculate something, and if you don't purely represent their teachings, then the parampara is kind of broken, right? So it's not just transmission of pure knowledge. Along with transmission of pure knowledge, one should also have proper behavior and conduct and mood and attitude. Then parampara continues nicely. So acharyas have set an example by giving pure, unadulterated spiritual knowledge. We need to learn it. We need to transmit that knowledge to next generations without any concoction. Of course, we can use proper examples and anecdotes to make it more easily understandable to people, undoubtedly. But at the same time, the original message must be preserved, right? So parampara is broken. Then Krishna has to re-establish the parampara. But why is Krishna choosing Arjuna to give this transcendental knowledge? He could have gone to some sage, he could have gone to anyone else, right? So, what is the qualification to receive this transcendental knowledge from the right source, directly from Krishna, and transmit the transcendental knowledge? Answer is स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं ह्येतदुत्तमम्. Actually, this transcendental knowledge, jnana, is rahasyam, very confidential. But it is revealed to someone who has two qualifications. What are they? Krishna says, Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. Bhakta means a devotee. Sakha means a friend. So when we have devotion towards Krishna, when we have friendly attitude towards Krishna, then we are the right recipients of transcendental knowledge. So we acquire spiritual knowledge to the degree we have devotion to Krishna, to the degree we have a friendly attitude towards Krishna. Sakha and Bhakta. Arjuna is both. Not only Arjuna, Yudhishthira Maharaj, for example. Yudhishthira Maharaj is also a Sakha of Krishna. Of course, he's like more elder cousin. The intimacy levels are a little less in Yudhishthira Maharaj's case, but still, Yudhishthira is also a good friend of Krishna and is definitely a great devotee of Krishna, pure devotee of Krishna. Therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj also received this knowledge. All the great Rajarshis who have devotion towards Krishna received this knowledge. So, to acquire knowledge, intelligence may be required, but more than intelligence, devotion is required. We discussed in the very first first episode, first session of ours, that South Indian Brahmana could understand Bhagavad Gita because he had devotion to Krishna. He may not be very scholarly. So intelligence has its own role to play. Your grammatical abilities have their own role to play, but ultimately, when we have devotion to Krishna, we'll understand divine knowledge. But Arjuna had a question here. Intelligent disciple. He says, Krishna, you said that you gave this jnana to sun god, but sun god is born before you. You are my contemporary. Our age is same. But sun god is born much before you. How can I understand that you have given this transcendental knowledge to sun god? Then Krishna said, Arjuna, many births you and me have taken. I remember all of them, but you don't remember them. So Krishna, at this moment, Krishna may be like a century old, little more than that. Krishna lived on this planet for about 125 years. Around Kurukshetra time, maybe at least he's a century old. But he looks like a 20-year-old boy or 16-year-old boy only. But although Krishna lived only for 125 years apparently on this planet, he's unborn. He has no birth, he has no death. Just like sun is appearing now. Now in India it's around 7 o'clock now, 7, 9. Right, few, maybe half an hour back or something like that, the sun is rising from the mountains. Is that the birth of the sun? No. Evening sun sets after maybe 12 hours or 13 hours, sun starts setting. Then is that the death of the sun? No. So just as sunrise is not sun's birth, sunset is not sun's death. Similarly, when Krishna appears on this planet, it is not exactly his birth. He is unborn. Even before Krishna appeared as the son of Devaki Mata and Vasudev, Krishna existed. Krishna's existence is beyond this time. He is his appearance on this in this planet is like incarnating from the spiritual world to the material world, but his eternal personality. You see, Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many prayers offered to Krishna before Krishna's appearance. How do they know the word Krishna? In the previous Manvantara, somebody is praying to Krishna. In the previous Yuga, somebody is praying to Krishna. Although Krishna appeared 5000 years back only. Why that name Krishna existed? Many people think that, okay, Krishna came in Dwapara Yuga, before that, we don't know Krishna. But Krishna is eternal. So, and he has a, when Krishna said many births we have taken, he has taken, that means many incarnations. Not that Krishna has to take birth like a conditioned soul. So Krishna at this moment describes the divine nature of his appearance and activities. He says, Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swamadhishtaya sambhavam mayaya. Ajo, I am unborn. There is no birth for me. And avyayatma, I am inexhaustible. Bhutanam ishwaropi san, I am the supreme controller of all living entities. And sambhavami atmamayaya, I appear in this planet by my own spiritual energy. Generally, people take births according to their karma. Say if somebody is addicted to eating so much meat in human life, then by the arrangement of the Lord, they will take birth as a tiger or a lion or a fox or whatever, so that they can exercise the desire of eating meat in a different body which is more suitable to that desire. Right? So, depending on one's inclinations, one's svabhava, one's activities, one's karma, people take different births. It's not in their control, right? Yes, their activities are in their control to some degree, but if they don't control their mind and indulge in so many bad activities, they will be given a body which is in accordance with the sinful activities they have committed, sinful or pious activities they have committed. But Krishna is not like that. Nobody is giving him a body. If he wants to become a Matsya, he will become. If he wants to become Kurma, he will become Kurma. If he wants to become a Brahmana boy, he can become Vamanadev. So Krishna says, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. I appear because of my own spiritual energy. I am not dictated by somebody's karma. Then, when does Krishna come? There is a timing. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyutthanam tadatmanam srujamyaham. Whenever dharma declines and adharma increases, that's the time Krishna appears. Now, dharma stands on four legs. We know that, right? Satyam, Daya, Tapaha, Shaucham. Satyam means honesty. Daya means mercy. Tapa means austerity. Shaucha means cleanliness. This is dharma. But what is adharma? My God, adharma has so many things: anger, envy, pride, greed, lust, illusion, arrogance, ego. So this adharma is increasing and dharma is decreasing. So Krishna appears on this planet to reverse it. Let dharma increase. Let dharma be more heavy. Let daya, sacham, satyam, tapaha, shaucham be more prominent in this world. Let this envy, anger, pride, lust be less prominent. So Krishna comes to establish dharma. Whenever dharma declines and adharma increases, Krishna appears. But what are the things that Krishna accomplishes during this incarnation? Whether he appears as Krishna or Rama or Narasimha or Vamana, Matsya, Kurma, whichever incarnation he may appear, he has three prominent activities to perform. What are they? Paritranaya sadhunam means to protect the righteous people. Vinashaya cha dushkritam, to punish the vicious people. Dharma samsthapanarthaya, to establish virtue, dharma, morals, principles. Sambhavami yuge yuge, I appear in different yugas, right? So he appears in different yugas, different manvantras. Here Krishna is indicating that it is me who appear in different yugas, in different incarnations. That shows that he is the source of all incarnations. And Bhagavatam presents it even more clearly. Here Krishna says, whenever dharma declines, when dharma increases, I come. And I come for these three purposes. Sambhavami yuge yuge. So Krishna is clearly declaring that he is the one who is descending from the spiritual world to the material world as an avatar. He is the source of all avatars. Right? So what are different avatars he appeared? Buddha, Kalki he will come in future. Rama, Narasimha, Parashurama, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, so many avatars. Here only 10 prominent avatars are mentioned, which are very recent. But Krishna has unlimited avatars. Avatara hi asankheya. Bhagavatam says, first canto, third chapter says, Lord's avatars are asankhya, innumerable incarnations. So, he is the source of all incarnations. Protecting devotees is his primary reason. And he empowers his devotees also to establish dharma, but to have loving pastimes with his devotees, Krishna appears on this planet. And one more thing, although in this material world there are so many conditioned souls, still Krishna is eager to continue his relationship with all of us. That's why he is descending in different incarnations to show his mercy. If somebody is not devoted to him, he can neglect him. In spiritual world, I have so many people, so many devotees who are serving me with so much of love and affection. Why should I even bother about these conditioned souls in the material world who don't love me, who even hate me, who even say that I don't exist? But Krishna doesn't think like this. Krishna comes out of his intense compassion even on the conditioned souls to reclaim them. That is his love, that is his affection. And that love of Krishna is our hope. Now, at the end, Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Krishna says, Arjuna, please understand, my janma means my appearance as an incarnation is divyam, transcendental. My karma means my activities are also transcendental. If you know the divine nature of my birth and my activities, then what is the result? Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. After giving up this body, you will not take birth again. To avoid rebirth, what should we do? We should understand tattvataha. We should understand properly Krishna's appearance and activities, janma and karma. Are there some people who have done like this? Yes, there are. Krishna says in the next sloka. See, as a 6 days old baby, Krishna killed demoness named Putana. That is Divya Karma. As a 3-month-old baby, Krishna delivered a demon named Shakatasur. As a 1-year old baby, Krishna delivered another demon named Tranavarta. As a 7-year-old boy, Krishna lifted Govardhan mountain. These are all Divya activities. And in other incarnations, as Narasimha, as Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, he did so many other pastimes. Just by the touch of his divine foot, a snake became a Gandharva. In the 10th canto, this story comes. So, all the pastimes of Krishna are divine. All the activities of Krishna, all the appearances of Krishna are divine. When he takes birth or when he appears, that's not equal to a conditioned soul taking birth out of karma. He doesn't take birth in a body which is filled with flesh, bones, blood, urine, stool, mucus. His body is Sachidananda. Even if he appears as a Varaha, a hog also, he is Sachidananda. Even if he appears as a fish also, he is Sachidananda. So you understand that divinity of Krishna's appearance and activities, then we can go back to Godhead. Vitaragaha yakrodha manmayamamupashritaha bahavo gnana tapasa puta madbhavamagataha. There are so many great souls. They have given up raga, material attachment, bhaya, fears, krodha, anger, and they have taken shelter of Krishna. They understood Krishna's divinity, and by doing so, puta madbhavamagataha. They are purified and they entered the spiritual world. They attained Krishna. Right? Now, how does Krishna deal with different people? Krishna says, you understand me, you perform bhakti, you will come to me. But different people have different natures in this material world. How does Krishna deal with them? Let's see. Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstathaiva bhajamyaham. The way you approach me, in a similar way, I will reciprocate with you. In the 9th chapter also Krishna says this. When we come there, we'll discuss in greater detail. But Krishna is reciprocal in nature. Yes, he is equal to all in one sense. As super soul, he stays in the hearts of all living entities, whether they are human beings or animals or trees. He is equal to all in that sense as super soul. But Uh, but he also uniquely reciprocates and uniquely deals with different people according to their mood, according to their approach. It's not only Krishna's shloka, it is our shloka also. When people approach you with friendliness, he will reciprocate with friendliness. When they approach you with respect, you reciprocate with respect. When they approach you with material motivations, then you kind of stay away. So our reciprocation with other people is in accordance with the way they approach us. Same thing Krishna also says here. So yeah, I think I'll skip this example. But there are some people who approach devatas. They are devata worshippers. Why? Kankshantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha क्षिप्रम हिमानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मज कांक्षन्तः कर्मणा सिद्धिम. People desire success in their material efforts and they pray to the devatas, different devatas. And devatas also give them some success, some material results, some wealth or prosperity, etc. But Kshipram hi manushe loke, any boon that you get in this material world is subject to destruction. It's not a permanent boon. So, if you have material desires and you approach some devatas like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu to fulfill those desires, and you perform some yajna or puja or hopa, homa, japa, tapa, and they will give those material results. But what will we do with that? We'll stay in the material world only, probably in a better way. But we need to transcend this material world and attain the spiritual world. But for that, devata worship doesn't work. We don't disrespect the devatas, but understand their position. They are appointed administrators and their posts are temporary. Indra stays in his post only for 1/14th of a day of Brahma. Right? So you divide Brahma's day into 14 parts. In each part there is one Indra. Indra post changes. If any one of you here in this Zoom call or YouTube, if you want to become Indra, you can become Indra. For that, you need to do 100 sacrifices. You become Shatakratu and do so many pious activities. Follow Varnashram Dharma nicely. And Brahma is also a post. Brahma's post is like longer duration, but Brahma is also post. Someone who is qualified can become Brahma also. But those who are occupying posts in the universal government, they can definitely give you benedictions. You should respect them, but they cannot give liberation. That's the whole point. Shiva can give liberation, but Brahma cannot give liberation. Indra can definitely not give liberation. Vishnu, of course, he is the source of all liberation. Then, Krishna also created four Varnas. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashah tasya kartaram apima vidya kartaram avyayam. Krishna also created four Varnas according to the gunas of people, karmas of people. Different people have different qualities. Some are very sober, some are very active, super active, some are like business minded, some are very simple hearted, they can only assist others, they may not take initiatives. So, like, according to their natures, according to their activities, according to their swabhava, Krishna has divided the society into four sections. This is not this These sections are not meant to uh, make people artificially dominate each other. Somehow this Varna system has been misused in a certain way at certain times by certain people. But but as Prabhupada says, uh, like by default, in a group of people, there are some people who are more intellectual. They can give vision. They are visionaries, and some are more action oriented. They can do administration and management. And there are some people who are little business minded, or they worship. They take care of cows, they grow grains, they support the other members of the society. And there are some simple hearted people, they just can only assist others, they may not take initiative. They're simple people. So accordingly, according to their natures, according to their qualities, according to their activities, Krishna made these four varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But it's not according to their birth. Birth rate doesn't define one's varna. So although so many people perform their karmas according to different ways, but Krishna, and he also acted as a Vaishya, he also acted as a Kshatriya, we have seen yesterday, but he has no interest. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha iti mam yobhijanati karma bhirna sabadhyate. Namam karmani limpanti, I am never entangled by any karma. So when somebody does a karma, an activity, that gives a reaction. There's an entanglement there sometimes. Or there can be some happiness or distress, both can entangle us. So, but when Krishna does, he's not entangled in any activity. Why? Name karma phale spruha. He has no attachment to enjoying the result of this karma. If you understand this, then you will also not be bound by karma. Itimam yobhijanati, understanding that Krishna is never bound by karma, if you worship him, karma bhirna sabadhyate, you will also not be bound by karma. So, first, perform activities without any attachment to results. Even Krishna does it, right? To set an example. And if you understand how Krishna does it, and if you also try to follow his footsteps, then you will also not be bound by any karma. Krishna says, एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं पूर्वैः पूर्वतरं कृतम्. So, understanding this about me, there are so many great souls. They have done their karmas, they have done their prescribed duties, aiming for liberation. And they even got liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So, you also follow them. So, now Krishna goes on to describe the intricacies of karma to Arjuna. He says, Kim karma kima karmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yajnatva mokshase shubhat karmano hyapi bodhavyam bodhavyam cha vikarmanah akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. This word karma has been a very intriguing term for so many people for centuries, probably some yogas. So Krishna says, I will explain to you what is karma. Clearly, please listen. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam. I will explain what is karma. Bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. I will explain what is vikarma and what is akarma also. Kim karma kima karmeti. What is supposed to be done? Karma. What is supposed to be avoided? Akarma. I will tell. But point is, kavayo pi atra mohitaha. Even great kavis and philosophers also become bewildered in understanding this karma and akarma. Let me tell you. Tatte karma prakshyami. Let me tell you what is karma. Krishna says, uh, I will type now so that, one second. There are multiple meanings of karma. The word karma has multiple meanings. We will see all those meanings. Accordingly, we'll understand what karma is. Karma. Basically, karma means action. Fine? Work. It can also mean reaction. Means reaction to an action is also sometimes called karma. So whether this karma is indicating action or reaction, you can understand by the context. Third, prescribed action. Prescribed action means, for example, the prescribed activity for a student is to study. Prescribed activity for a doctor is to treat patients. Prescribed activity for an engineer is to construct something. Or prescribed activity for a brahmachari is to do swadhyaya. Prescribed activity for a sannyasi is to travel and spread spiritual culture. Prescribed activity for a grihastha is to take care of the home and children and the next generations nicely. So, according to Varna, according to ashrama, according to one's position in the society, different activities are prescribed for different people. Right? That is called prescribed action. Sometimes karma can mean that also. Karma can also mean fruitive action. Fruitive action means you perform an activity with a specific desire to attain a fruit. Right? I want this fruit. Fruit is not just this Mosambi or Santra. Fruit here is the result of an activity. You are attached to or you are aspiring for a specific result, specific phala, and you perform that activity. That is called fruitive activity. They are mainly selfish actions. Or the whole chain of actions and reactions can be called as karma sometimes. Right? So, this is about karma. Then what about akarma? Akarma, if you take the meaning of karma to be action, akarma means inaction. right? If you take the meaning of karma to be reaction, then akarma becomes non-reactionary action. Non-reactionary action. What is this? You don't get confused. You perform an action, but you don't get any reaction. That is also called akarma, right? You are uh, smart enough to deal with mud without without mud touching you. You are touching mud, but mud is not touching you because you wear gloves. You are dealing with mud. Let me give another question, another example. I have a picture also. See this. Here is a doctor treating a patient who has some virus, right? But the doctor is wearing gloves. Doctor may wear an apron also. Doctor may wear a mask also. So although this patient has virus, that virus is not touching the doctor. Doctor is immune. So that is akarma. He is doing his activity of treating the patient who has some kind of virus, but the doctor is unaffected by it. Similarly, when we perform our material actions in this world without getting entangled by those material actions, then we are doing akarma. You are doing karma, but it's as good as akarma. Means you are not doing any activity. It's as good as inaction because it's not producing any reaction. So this is about akarma. Then there is another term called vikarma. You know what is vikarma? Vikarma means forbidden action, forbidden or sinful action, or an action which you are not supposed to do is called vikarma. So total three types of karmas: karma, akarma, and vikarma. So let us uh, understand this section, understand it little more deeply. Karma. Generally, karma is done with attachment, right? For whom? It's done with attachment to the result, attachment to selfish enjoyment. And the attitude is sometimes according to Shastras. Now, we are talking about karma, where people perform actions with a desire to enjoy the result, but they act according to Shastras. But when we say vikarma, that is against Shastras. Karma is done with enjoy attachment. Vikarma is also done with attachment. But the difference between karma and vikarma is karma is done according to the teachings of scriptures, but vikarma is done against the teachings of scriptures. And this karma can give good reaction, piety. You can get prosperity. And vikarma will give bad reactions. One may enter hell, one may incur sin. But what about akarma? Akarma involves action, but without any attachment to the result. Or in other words, yesterday we discussed, right? Mayi sanyasya karmani sanyasyadhyatma che. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasaha. Means it's not just acting with detachment. Akarma can be defined as acting without any attachment to results. But akarma in its ultimate sense is acting for Krishna. So that akarma is basically bhakti. All acts done for Krishna. And no desire for sense gratification. And attitude is you are acting as a servant of Krishna. And what is the result? Spiritual happiness, transcendental happiness. Therefore, we should adopt to akarma, avoid karma and vikarma. Karma is a pious activity, and vikarma is a impious activity or sinful activity. Akarma is a divine spiritual activity. So there is a pious action, there is impious action, there is spiritual action. We cannot avoid action, by the way. We are active. We cannot go into hibernate mode forever, right? So we need to act, but do spiritual actions. Don't just be caught up in pious actions or impious actions. That is Krishna's teaching here about karma and akarma and vikarma. So inaction. So whenever we are doing some actions without any attachment to the results, it's as good as inaction. Means it's not giving you any material reaction. What are the symptoms of such a person who does it? That is akarma in karma. Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagnidagdha karmanam tamahu panditam budhaha. So these people perform so many activities, but kama sankalpa varjitaha. They have absolutely no desire to enjoy the results of their work. So, jnanagni dagdha karmani, their jnana, their spiritual knowledge which Krishna has imparted some time back. In the first 15 shlokas we have seen, right? So, because of their jnana, dagdha karmanam, all the reactions are burnt. They're performing an action not like an ignorant fellow. They're performing actions with a lot of knowledge, with spiritual knowledge, with detachment. Because they're performing activities with knowledge and detachment, they're not getting any reactions. And on top of it, if they perform their activities, their prescribed duties, as an offering to the Supreme Lord, it's not just, they will not result in any reaction. You will go back to Godhead. You will go to the spiritual world. So working with detachment is at one level, but working with devotion is on a higher level. That's what is being described in Bhagavad Gita multiple times. And there are many such beautiful shlokas that are describing the symptoms of a detached worker or a karma yogi, mature karma yogi. And mature karma yogi is ultimately bhakti yogi. So when we perform actions without any attachment to the results, with spiritual knowledge, with maturity, then our actions are equal to sacrifices, yajnas. We have seen this in the third chapter also, if you remember. What is that? Yajnarthat karmanon yatra loko yam karma bandhanah. 3.9. So when we perform activities with detachment and of course with devotion and with knowledge, without any desire to enjoy the results, then our activities are as good as big, big sacrifices, right? So Krishna says, Brahmarpanam brahmahavir brahmagnau brahmana hutam brahmaiva tena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina. So a sacrifice involves offering some things into the fire. So Brahmarpanam means Brahma here refers to spiritual. Brahman means spiritual, right? So Brahma can refer to Lord Brahma also. Brahman can refer to Brahma Jyoti also, but here Brahma word refers to spiritual. Brahma Arpanam Brahma Havir means when you offer spiritual oblations with spiritual instruments, Brahmagnav in spiritual fire, Brahmana Hutam by a spiritual person, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, you will attain a spiritual goal by Brahma Karma Samadhina. You are absorbed in spiritual activities. Let me tell this again. By spiritual oblations with spiritual instruments, you offer oblations into spiritual fire, and you are a spiritual person with spiritual inclinations, then you will attain spiritual destination because of your absorption in spiritual activities. That's what this shloka says. So when you perform any activity with spiritual consciousness, it is called yajna, and it will take you to a spiritual goal. And that will also give knowledge. When you simply perform your prescribed duties with responsibility, you will attain knowledge. This is a way of attaining knowledge. So far, Krishna spoke so much about knowledge. How to attain that knowledge? Simple. You perform your prescribed duties nicely. Karma yoga leads to jnana, mature jnana. If you simply perform your prescribed duties with commitment, with detachment, you will eventually attain experience, knowledge. Even in our regular life, also we see you keep on working on something. You work in a company, so 2 years or 3 years, you worked whatever is prescribed for you. You worked, you did that work. By the end of the 2 3 years, you'll gain a lot of knowledge. You'll also gain some detachment, right? So by doing your work sincerely, you will attain knowledge. Krishna says there are different ways of attaining knowledge, different types of sacrifices. So whenever we are working for a spiritual goal, it's a yajna. For example, karma yogis, they sacrifice material possessions into devata worship and they attain material possessions. And Jnana yogis, they do philosophical analysis. Their sacrifice is philosophical analysis. Brahmacharis sacrifice is sense control. Grihastha sacrifice is engaging the senses in some enjoyment for a proper benefit. So there are different types of practitioners who perform different kinds of activities, prescribed activities, and thus attain knowledge. You can go through the chapter for more details, but we have less time now. So you perform your prescribed duties sincerely with a detached spirit, you will attain knowledge. But there is another very, very effective way of acquiring spiritual knowledge. How to acquire that spiritual knowledge? Very easy. Go to a guru who has knowledge. He will give you. That's what Krishna says. Tadvidhi pranipatena. Okay, before I go to the shloka, Krishna says two possibilities of acquiring knowledge. One is through karma yoga. You perform your karma yoga, you perform your prescribed duties sincerely with detachment, you will attain mature knowledge. This jnana becomes the culmination of karma. But there is another way, a bhakti mode, where you go to someone who is knowledgeable, who has divine spiritual knowledge, submit to him, serve him, they will give transcendental knowledge. Divya Jnana Hriday Prakashito. Go to Guru. So, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninah tattvadarshinaha. Tadvidhi pranipatena. You have submissiveness. Pariprashtena. Also ask relevant questions, not speculative questions, not useless questions, but relevant spiritual inquiries. Then sevaya, render service to a guru. Upadekshanti te gnanam. If you do so, if you approach a guru with these three qualities, submissiveness, relevant inquiries, and service, then they will give you upadesha. They will give you instruction. They will enlighten you in knowledge. Jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha, because they themselves are jnanis. They themselves have a lot of knowledge. Tattvadarshinaha, they have seen the truth. They have realized the truth. Therefore, they can impart spiritual knowledge in the hearts of a sincere disciple. Even Krishna also set an example. He went to Sandipani school, he has learned knowledge. But one important quality to acquire knowledge is Shraddha, faith. Why did Krishna reveal knowledge uh, to Arjuna? We have seen in the beginning of the chapter. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. Arjuna is a friend of Krishna. Arjuna is a devotee of Krishna. That friendly nature towards the teacher and that respect and reverence and devotion towards the spiritual teacher will help you acquire spiritual knowledge, right? So Krishna says, Shraddhava labhate jnanam tatparaha samyatindriyaha. Jnanam labdhva param shantim achirena adhigacchati. To acquire knowledge, you need Shraddha. Earlier, Krishna said 3 points. How to acquire knowledge from Guru? One is submissiveness. Second is relevant inquiry. Third is service. Now, fourth point is Shraddha. We need to have Shraddha. Faith in the position of Guru. Faith in the knowledge of Guru. Faith in the Vaishnava qualities of Guru. Tatparaha samyatendriyaha. Tatparaha means you be dedicated to it. Be committed. Samyatendriyaha means control your senses. Sometimes we may try to cultivate knowledge, but senses are not in control. Then we cannot acquire knowledge. So then you will be able to attain knowledge and peace and devotion ultimately. Clear? So this is the way of acquiring transcendental knowledge. In the fourth chapter, we have seen Parampara of knowledge. We have seen knowledge about Krishna himself. When does he appear? Why does he appear? What are his purposes of appearance? All that. And we have also seen uh, when we work according to that knowledge, uh, we naturally become detached. Or when we work with detachment, we naturally acquire knowledge also. Like we saw the definitions of karma, akarma, and vikarma, and we are supposed to do akarma, not karma or vikarma. And by doing akarma like this, we will definitely attain jnana. And another way of attaining jnana is to go to a spiritual teacher and serve sincerely with faith. Tomorrow we'll discuss the fifth chapter. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.